am so happy today to be joined by Laurie Maves.
Thank you, man.
Okay.
I'm so
Yeah.
glad to be here.
Yes. Can you explain the ART behind your name? Because you
Yes,
got
Laurie Maves. Yes, Laurie Maves art is art. It's just art. It's art for art's sake. So the letters, that's my business is Laurie Maves Art. And other letters I have behind my name are the MAAT, which is a master's in art therapy. And then I just added the yoga YRT. YRT? Yeah, RYT.
okay.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am. So now I'm a yoga instructor too, which continues to crack me up that that's something I just decided to do in my 50s. But there you go.
It's all good, right?
Right,
Art,
ma'am.
yeah, right. As we know, that art is more than just expression, okay? It's translation and it's the soul's language when worlds fall, okay? Fail, okay? So art turns emotion into energy, okay? Chaos into clarity and the invisible into form, okay? So this can come in the form of dreams, signs, signals, right? Um, whether it's music, movement, or leadership itself, art is a bridge between the seen and unseen, between human and divine, right?
I agree.
Okay, so you want to talk to us about how you got to here? Talk to us about your journey.
Yeah. Okay, man. So, how I got to here. Well, I was always an artist as a kid. Like as a kid, I just loved art. I just wanted to do art stuff. I wanted to paint. I remember being at an easel in kindergarten, and that was just the best place to be, standing painting at an easel. So, it's one of those things. I grew up in the Midwest. I had in a small town. My dad was a veterinarian. My mom was a homemaker, and they were pretty. It was a small town farming community, and we were in a things were always, I remember, very tight with my parents. My mom was always going to the secondhand bread store. And so I think growing up, my sister was always interested in science and I was always interested in art. And I think they were always like, oh, it's a cute little hobby that you have. Isn't that a cute little hobby that you have? Isn't that a cute little hobby? Hobby, hobby. So, Um, but I ended up going, so I was going to go to college for graphic design because that was the only way you could make money in the world of art. And this was in the late 80s, early 90s. And then I got into graphic design program before computers, graphic design. That's how, old we are. And I hated it. I didn't like it. I was like, I don't want to make logos for other people. This isn't inspiring. This isn't, and I knew I didn't really necessarily be an art teacher. So I went through college. I ended up studying art anyway. And my parents were like, oh my God, you're not going to do graphic design. What are you going to do with your life? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? So the last semester of my undergrad um, schooling at University of Wisconsin in Madison, um, in the art department, I took a class that was in art education and it was an introduction to art therapy. And I didn't know anything about art therapy. And that whole class in the last semester changed my life because it was introducing a way, and it was a newer field in the 80s, 90s. People still, there was only like 3 or 4 schools in the whole nation you could go to if you wanted to get a master's in art therapy. It was the same kind of rigor as going and getting your master's in social work. Um, so I decided to pursue that. I needed to take, there were other classes I needed. So there were a couple of years between undergrad and going to grad school. But I went to grad school and came out with a master's in art therapy from the Art Institute in Chicago. And then my life since then has been a mix of making art, large scale commercial art for people and small. I mean, I made the gamut of things. The last couple of years was the biggest year as far as making big pieces. And I was paid really well. And that is one of those things where that ended and for reasons out of my control. And that brought me to Substack. So in the last year, I was like, well, I'm not done painting and I'm not done practicing art therapy or teaching. So what can I do? So I just took kind of what I knew from a lifetime of making art and using art to help people to write about it in my blog. So that's how we got to here. And that's how I got to meet you, is all because of Substack. Oh, why can't I hear you? There you go.
Okay.
Yes, now I can.
Okay. Okay. Sorry about that.
Yeah, no worries.
So you remember where you left off? I apologize.
No, it was that, I grew up in the Midwest, so I tend to go on and on and on and drone on. So I tried to make that as concise as possible, but I always loved art. I went to school to study art. My parents were horrified to learn that I just wanted to be an artist. But then I figured out a way to be an artist and to be an art therapist. And then I was doing a bunch of big commercial art here in Florida the last 4 or 5 years. But the designers I worked for and the design shop that I worked out of downsized. And with that downsize, it was kind of like most of my work dried up as making these large scale commercial paintings. But I, and so that kind of brought me to, well, what can I do at my desk? I also had a surgery last year, so I physically couldn't do a lot of big stuff, big scale. I was basically sitting and resting, and I had a neck collar on, and I was pretty immobile for 3 months. So I was sitting at my desk a lot. And my son um, had some articles on Substack and he showed it to me. And immediately I saw sketchbooks and I thought, well, that's something. So I was just intrigued by people sharing their sketchbooks. And I thought, well, I've got a lot to talk about as from being an art therapist or going through menopause or being an artist or whatever these things are. And so I just kind of transitioned all the work I was doing onto Substack, but just writing about it. But through
Mhm.
Substack, I've met so many incredibly interesting people. So, like you, Margaret, that's where we left off.
Okay, thank you so much. The first picture I saw from you was the one with the turquoise, with the postcards.
Yeah, the postcard piece, 162
Yes.
postcards.
Y- How long did it take you to make that picture?
Oh, I probably was at that painting for 3 or 4 sittings, maybe 4 sittings. So that could be. I think I had it on the wall a couple of weeks, but yeah, that's how we first met. And then I sent you one of the postcards from that series. I had all these postcards from I used to do a lot of Day of the Dead artwork. Like I did a lot. I used to live in Colorado, and Day of the Dead was celebrated a lot. In Colorado and Denver has a large Latino Hispanic community, and so that was celebrated a lot. And it was just something I was always fascinated with. I love Frida Kahlo. I've studied the history of Frida Kahlo and Diego. I followed them a lot and studied them and read her books, and they they were that was a big holiday that she was always interested in. So I had all these postcards made of artwork that wasn't, but it was artwork that was 10 years old. So anyway, I had all these postcards and I wanted to paint on them. So I put them all on a big canvas on the wall like this. And there was 162 of them. And I made a big painting with just a palette knife over all of them. And I was going to dismantle them. And there was one that I took and sent to you. And like, well, there's a couple that I had that were part of that big piece, and I'm like, "I'm just gonna leave them all on the," so it's all on a big canvas still, and it's available. If anybody would like to acquire it, just send me a message. I'll get it to you.
Awesome.
So, but I love this. This is my favorite thing about you, Margaret, is that when you do I love that thing that you do is cheering people on. I always just feel like it's just a blanket of love that you do.
Well, thank you because, I was new to Substack in November last year. And it seems like when you're new, seems like your work is going to a deep, dark hole. Nobody's listening, you know, or anything. But that's really not true because, like, I saw your work, because of you being on video. and showing your work. And then from there, that connection started. Okay. I
Yep.
can't tell you exactly what it was, but your work touched me. And
Mm,
so when you talk about art therapy, now just talk to me the difference about art therapy and just regular art.
sure. So regular art can be a huge thing, on its own. And that art could be subjective, and you make a piece, you make something, or even like the way modern art is, you can tape a banana to the wall. Did you see all that a couple years ago at art? So, um, so art could be, there's performance art. So, but most art I make are paintings. It's a physical object. It's something that you can hang on the wall, but there's all other explanations for art, Margaret, from like, conceptual art to performance art to, um, but the art I typically make is 2D. Usually it's paintings or drawings or it's visual art. But art therapy is, is in the realm of like a counseling therapies or music therapy or dance therapy. So it's using creative expression for your health and wellness. It could be physical health. It could be, majority is mental health and awareness, which I think today is like National Mental Health Awareness Day might be. I think I saw that somewhere. Um, and within art therapy specifically, the field of art therapy, when I went through school anyway, it was looked at as a gamut. So from one end of the gamut over here was the act of creating something itself. The act of creating something is therapeutic in itself. Two, the process, very process oriented. Two, the other side of the gamut is you make something and now it's going to be psychoanalyzed. So you're really looking at the product, the finished product, and then you break that down with psychology or variations of psychology. And I was always on this other end of the gamut where I just think the process itself is really what can help heal people and not product oriented, not focused on. I mean, the products can be very helpful for a lot of people because they can provide insights. So I'm not dismissive of products. Um, the Be Free Pathways group that we do is process and product oriented versus where, like, if you work in a sketchbook and you come up with an image and other people help you kind of process it, or if you're with if a therapist will help you process what is this image about, then you can look at it and you can break it down and you can put words to it or you can put feelings to it. But I've always been kind of on this other side that if you can make something, you can enjoy the therapeutic benefits of creativity, from crafting to painting to needlework to crochet to just using your hands. And there's your puppy, beautiful. So that's my breakdown of those, the differences between those. But yeah,
I see that my internet is unstable. We're going to continue anyway. Okay.
yes,
So,
ma'am.
yeah, I find this very, very interesting because I don't remember where, but they had these blotters or whatever, and they would ask the person, "What do you see?"
Yeah, I think it was
Okay.
The Rorschach test or something. Rorschach. That was like the
Maybe.
name of the test. Yeah,
And they
ink
ask you,
blots,
"What do you
like ink
see?"
blots. Hmm.
Yes. Yes. And depending on what you see, I guess they can make some kind of diagnosis.
Well, yeah, but here's the thing with that is why that's why I always really the product itself. Let me grab something just to
Sure.
share because I think it could really help explain something. Uh, so if somebody makes some work and having someone else look at it and tell you what's wrong with that person, for me, there was always a huge disconnect there. So there is, if for in the world that I've always lived and worked in, just because somebody makes something, it it really can only say something about you. I believe if you're there, if the artist is there, or the creator is there, the client, the patient, whatever names you want to put on the person making the work that's getting analyzed, if that person is there to say, yes, yes, that's hitting a nail on the head. Yes, that's making sense for me. Because you could take something like this is one of my sketchbooks that I've talked about on my blog. Okay. And it's got all kinds of images in here. And like I did this 30-day ugly art, ugly art series. So this is one of the pictures I made, which I he really is like nasty, like even like gave him a booger and stuff. Now, if somebody would see that and they took it out
Mhm.
of context or something, they might like, oh, that woman's got anger issues, or that woman's got this or that. And of course, everybody's got every emotion that exists, but that's all I want to say about that, Margaret. And it's funny that a lot of people feel that way, like just because they don't know any better. Like they'll see artwork that might look really scary or harrowing or whatever. And, that's like, that'll come up with, I saw Donna Frasca was on here. It'd be interesting if she's got feedback for that. But like people who are narcissists might say, oh, that's about, I know what that work is about. You really can't know what the work is about unless you have a conversation with the person who made it. The time it does come really helpful is when you're working with kids. And like if teachers are working with kids or parents are working with kids, and if the kids start to maybe do some images that are like, you feel like, oh, we might want to check out what that's about. It could be simply the kids having bad dreams or they're scared or about something, or maybe it was something in passing. But a lot with children who don't have the verbal skills to express what's going on with them, their artwork can offer insights for sure for further questioning. Always for further questioning. Doesn't mean even if you see a kid with a bloody something that they've drawn, doesn't mean that any, X, Y, or Z has happened. But it's just information. It's information.
Also, it could be a tell sign of abuse happening at home as well, and they can't talk about it, but they can write about it or they can draw pictures about it. And so we need to be cognizant of that because I
Yeah.
suffer from abuse as well. And how I expressed that was through my poetry. I couldn't
Hmm.
tell anybody because nobody was going to believe me anyway.
Right.
So these are also ways that we cope with the trauma that we have experienced throughout our lives.
Because what you're doing, Margaret, is you're taking it here, wherever it's stuck. If it's in here, and you're externalizing it. So that's what's great about any creative expression practice. If it's writing poetry, if it's writing your story, if it's drawing, if it's putting a sketchbook, is you get, and it might, it might not wrap it all up and put a bow and it's all better now. But at least every time you do that, you're getting that information out of you in, from my experience, in a safe and healthy way. Write about it, draw about it. You don't have to share it with anybody. Make art about it, but externalize it. Just get it out of your body and get it out of your mind.
Yeah, and as we see in most metropolitan areas, we see artwork on the walls and different things, like Banksy, for example. It's an expression of peace, of hope, of things, of chaos. It's expressing all of these things.
Yeah. Yes, I would agree with you there. And but again, here's another thing too to consider is what you see. So let's take Banksy for example, and you might see he's got that iconic. There's a picture of a girl with a little balloon, and
Yes.
you've seen that one. So it also depends on the viewer, right? So, like, if you're somebody who has an association with a story with a girl holding a little balloon, that image might make you really sad. Well, as another person might be, oh, isn't that cute? It's like we take all of our own personal histories and experiences, and when we look at art, a lot of times we project ourselves onto those pieces we're looking at. I remember one time I had this studio in Denver, And I was painting on old door panels at the time. So I could, when anybody was doing any renovations, I'm like, do you have a door? And not the kind of door that's behind you with panels. I would just get those flat doors. So they were like just a big piece of wood and a big rectangle. And so I would paint on doors over and over again. I had this one door I was working on, and it was red, mainly red paint. But there were other colors in there too. But it was mainly a red painting. And there was an office next door to me, and one of the employees came over, and I don't know, she was coming in to say hi. She saw the painting, she stopped, like she had a physical reaction to it. And she was like, "Oh, honey, that that is a very scary painting." I mean, like she had like, "Oh, I'm so that it's." I'm like, I she couldn't even like stay in the room with it. And I thought that for me, that's not what anything. I was just making a red painting. It wasn't about. But for her, there was something in the color, in the composition that hit her in a visceral way. And see, I'll never forget that. That probably happened 15 or more years ago. But she was almost like, you need to go get help. You need to go see somebody. I'm like, I'm good. I'm just making the artwork here, but I think maybe you're having a visceral reaction. There was something in her that was being stirred up by that painting. And
Yeah,
that can
yeah.
happen.
It can. It can. And so, for example, when you look at the Mona Lisa, what do you see? Some people see a man, people see a woman. That is a mystery, you know?
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that picture?
Oh my God, Margaret. I just was looking through one of my sketchbooks today and I had this Mona Lisa piece. That's crazy. I mean, I haven't looked at
Wow.
this sketchbook for years. But let's see. Let me revisit it to see what I think it says today.
Okay.
I always think that's interesting about her because it was always like you don't know, is she smiling and she does she not?
Right.
I don't know. This was what I made.
Yeah, right?
So for some reason it says her eyes were too big. She had seen enough already.
Mm.
This is from 2012, something like that. But I've never seen this painting in person. Maybe someday I'll make it to the Louvre to see it. But that whole Leonardo da Vinci thing, I think it's fascinating. You can't that this is a wonderful painting because I don't think you know how she's feeling. You need to ask her,
No.
just like the artwork. You need to ask her,
Yeah, right? Uh,
Lisa, how are you feeling today?
I wanted to ask you because I have traveled internationally, okay? And one of the museums that I went to was Van Gogh. Oh my God.
The one in Amsterdam.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah,
His work, Starry Night, his work, I can't,
that's a
it's
great museum.
speechless. Yes, it is.
Yeah,
It was beautiful.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I-
What did you think about his work?
Oh, huge. I'm a huge fan. I also have like books of his. As a kid, I loved his paintings. I've repainted Starry Night myself. I don't know how many times I've recreated that painting. Um, and I think his painting was his health because he had some severe mental illness and had delusions and had audio. He had hallucinations and his art was really his health. I can't imagine his life if he didn't have the ability to go out and make paintings or at least express. But the way he saw color was possibly, the way many artists and many people see color, but he revolutionized how applying that color in small amounts and mixing those colors together in oil. But he was, so I'm a huge fan. I'm a huge fan. And his paintings are so, if you look at them, they're just, you can't even appreciate them digitally or when I was going to school too, and we had art history, we would see work by slides. And it's really to see them in person where you can just feel the energy of on the oil paint on the canvas, and his colors were always just really brilliant. It's almost like that optical illusion that he was when you look at images like his paintings, the colors would mix on the canvas by how your eyes put them together. And his blues were or his greens were like, 20 blues and 50 yellows or something like that. But amazing. Who else do you like?
Yeah.
Who else if you had like any art that you like?
Michelangelo. I mean, I've never been to the Sistine Chapel, but it's on my bucket list. I
Yeah.
just see it in pictures, like, oh my
Yeah.
God, this is like,
Yeah.
it's heavenly. It's
Yeah.
like God is talking to him and telling him what to paint. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I hope you get there. I hope you get to it's in Rome, so I hope you get to in the Vatican. Sorry, the Vatican, which is a separate it's not, but I hope you do get to see it. And it's a shame because this room that they file you in, it's chock full of tourists and everybody's talking. And I don't know if they still do this. I think they do, but they have a lot of not docents, but they have the museum guards in that part of the chapel, and they're constantly shushing people, shush, 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 because you're in a chapel, and it makes me crazy. But I've been in there a couple. My husband's Italian, so we go to Italy, and I've been there, and it's beautiful, amazing. And if people would just shut up when they go in there, you could, and everybody's like it's so stunning. It's so enormous. It's so beautiful that it deserves that silence. It deserves that. But I hope you get to see that.
Yeah, I was going through the cathedrals and everything when I was in Israel. It just like
Oh, I've never been
it's
there,
just
so
it's just so breathtaking to see the artwork and the mosaic, the stained glass windows. Oh my God. How
that
can you talk in there? How can you talk? It's so
I don't know.
sacred. I'm just saying, it's
I think,
sacred.
yeah, I don't know. People aren't paying attention.
Yeah, because when you gonna see it again? You may never see it again. Okay. So cherish that. And I
Yeah.
still have all those pictures and stuff. So yeah, it's breathtaking.
Did you see
Um
this? Did you go through the stations there when you were there?
Absolutely.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely.
Oh, I just got chills. That
Yeah.
must have been something.
Yeah. I went to Jericho. I went to Sea of Galilee. I went to where Jesus was baptized,
Oh, wow.
where John the Baptist was baptized. I went to Jordan and to Egypt and all the beautiful artwork throughout all of these different countries. It's
Wow.
just amazing. Now, who is your favorite artist?
Oh, that's a tough question, Margaret. Um, I think Frida Kahlo is my favorite artist. I think her work to me and her work is definitely a result of also it's like Van Gogh, but of art therapy. So if you know Frida's story, that she was in a uh, she was a Mexican, daughter of a Mexican and a German Jew.
Okay.
Her mother was Mexican, her father was German and Jewish in Mexico City, and she was born there, and she had at least one sister. I can't remember how many other siblings. And when she was 18, 19, she was in a horrific accident. It was a trolley. She was in a open car trolley, and they were hit by a bus or something, and she suffered the whole. There was a huge accident, and she suffered this many broken bones, and she was impaled. It's amazing she didn't die through her uterus and came out the other side, which was just missed, but affected parts of her spine. And so she spent many months, I don't know if it was a full year, in bedridden, trying to heal from these injuries. And while she was bedridden, her father would bring her um, little canvases and paints and set her up with a way to paint from her bed because she was totally immobile. And so painting became her health and her way to pass the time, her way to heal. And there's a lot of artwork throughout her career that she uses art to express her pain, And she had a lot of, besides physical pain and suffering as a result of that accident younger in her life, she ended up having many other surgeries. I don't know, it was like 17 surgeries throughout her life. And this is through,
Wow.
I always like to remember this. She was on the planet at the same time as my grandmother. So the medical advancements weren't many. You know, she'd be like in a body cast for months on end. And, but her artwork was super detailed on top of being very, very much storytelling. And so if you ever had the
Oh.
chance to go see a Frida Kahlo painting live in person, you can see like she must have painted with these tiny, tiny horsehair brushes where the finest of lines and detail. Again, you would miss it if you're not right up there. But the first time I got to see a Frida Kahlo painting in a museum, I remember I saw it and I was like, oh, because I'd studied her. And then you have the thing live. It's in front of you. I went up to it and I was like, I got my nose pretty close to the canvas, and the security immediately like, "Step back, ma'am, step back." And I was like, what you said about being in Israel. I'm like, I'm only going to be here one time in front of this painting, and I'm not going to touch it. But you know, they're like, "Step back, ma'am. You have to step back from the painting." So
Yeah, right.
yeah, she's
See,
my
you was in
favorite.
awe. You was magnetized. Yeah.
I was in awe of my favorite artist for sure. Yeah.
And that artwork saved her. That gave her a reason to live.
I would say so, and it became her job also. Like, she ended up making money, and sh as and nobody who few people would employ female artists then, but she became quite a portrait artist, and she had the first women's show at the MoMA, first, woman, well, she also had a show, like, right before she died in Mexico City of her work. Her husband was a famous artist as well. He was a famous muralist, and, um was employed all over. He was employed even in the United States and New York City, and, his name was Diego Rivera, and so he always got all the props, and he
Oh,
always got the
oh, he was bad. He was bad.
yeah. So, you know Diego. Do you know what I'm talking about? Yeah.
Yes, I love the
Yeah.
colors. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Oh, yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, and they had the quite the difficult relationship, and they were together, they were apart, they were married, they got divorced, they got remarried again, and, they also had many lovers in between, but at the end of the day, they really just loved each other as for everything that happened between them. But, you know, there's a great movie if anybody wants to learn more about Frida. It's called Frida, and I think Salma Hayek was in it about 15, 20 years ago. It's a great movie. And it's the history is pretty solid of how it's portrayed in the film. And it's a beautiful film on top of that because they show her paintings. They actually animate that whatever the art director of that movie, they animate her paintings. And again, if you want to learn more about art therapy, and they don't say it's art therapy, but you can really see how the artwork helped her heal or at least express horrific things that she was experiencing. Ashley Schmidt just said she saw Frida. Yeah, if Ashley has any, opinions on the movie, and it has a beautiful soundtrack, um, with Lila Downs is the singer on,
Oh,
as many songs on that soundtrack, but yes,
awesome.
yes,
Awesome. I'm gonna go through and ask, see if they have any questions or
yes,
anything,
please.
but I want to first ask you say something before I forget. Okay. Back in the day, women were not allowed to write poetry and stuff like that and artwork, like you said, because that was considered a man's role and a man's job. So I was watching some series on TV where they would have a pen name or or give it to their brother or father or something to say he did it instead. And so the woman was not allowed to do things like that.
Yeah,
I wanted to mention that.
yeah. You know, Lisa Boland, she is also on Substack. She's a history I don't know if she is a art historian or was a history teacher of some kind, of a history professor. she has remarked about that a bit on her pages from time to time about women in history and creative endeavors and writing and who gets credit and who doesn't. I mean, yeah, that's been happening, you know. Luckily, it's not happening as much anymore, but anyway, it's still what women get paid compared to what men get paid, especially in the world of art. I don't At one time it was a huge lag in between, but I haven't checked those stats lately. I
Well,
probably don't want to know what they are.
right.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk to me about how AI is impacting art.
Well, how do I think AI is impacting art? You know, AI, I think, is helping people who are not artists go and grab images for the documents that they want to put out there. Like I see that all the time, like, right, hey, AI, make me an image of a girl running through a field. Hey, AI, make this for me. Um, I have written about that a couple times and just that, a lot of creatives, I think, are going to get passed by because there's a free way to get something made. Um, but then, so it'll happen. I'm not a fan of it that way. There are these bots and that are going through and copying people's work, and it comes up later, under something else and has been stolen. That's happened to me. Um, so I'm not I mean, I don't know, Margaret's like everything with AI. It's two-sided. It's a double-edged sword. I think it's helpful for some people. I think though then it takes the human creative element out of things. I can tell when people like I saw this, my one of my sons and I talked about this is that when you pick up an article, you're reading something like on Substack. Let's say just for example on Substack, and you're reading an article and 3, 2, 1 reading it, you're like, "Oh man, this is AI." Like I don't know if you ever have had that experience where I'm like, this is not the person's voice. I am not hearing there's something in this writing. I am not hearing a real person's voice in here. And the same, I think, happens with digital. Now, you can be a digital artist. That's not something I'm too old for that. I'm not too old, but I'm not, I wasn't ever schooled in how to make digital art. And that's until I become super interested myself. I'm not pursuing my time, spending my time figuring out how to make digital images. I think this stuff is a dying breed. I think people
It is.
like people writing on papers, cursive's a dying art. And, I think as much as we can, it's helpful, I think, to have all this on digital so you can share it with people. But if we don't like have like it written somewhere, you know, right? What do you think about that? I think it's going to go away if nobody's continuing it.
It is, and we have to protect our work because things get, you got floods, you got fires. So having it on paper is one thing because eventually that paper is going to deteriorate as well. You still need to convert everything to digital so your grandkids and so on and so forth can have it. That's just my opinion.
I think so. I think so. I mean, I think there's a place for it. I just, it's one of those things that I worry about, but then I get stuck in worry, and I don't want to be stuck. I don't want to be a person that's stuck in worry over really anything in my life. So I've been really working on not being stuck in what I think could happen. So I just try to be mindful and but just keep making the original stuff. But I also try to, as soon as I make it, I don't need to hold on to it. So I'm also in that phase of my life. If I made work and people are interested in it and they're connecting with it, let me know. I will get the work to you and we can figure out payment for it, whatever that means. It could mean anything. It could be trade, it could be funds, it could be whatever energetic trade needs to happen. But I don't want to store work anymore. I don't want to wait for that designer to come along and find this piece. So if people go on my website and they see this work's available and they're, hey, I really like that. I really connect with it. They should connect with me and we'll figure out how to get them because it almost makes me sad that I make this stuff. And if I don't have an immediate buyer for it, I only have so many walls in my house. It gets rolled up and it goes under the bed, or it goes in my closet. So let's get it out there to homes where people can enjoy it. That,
Yes.
yeah.
How can we get the word out to people, let them know?
Um, well, I can post my website here or on Substack, or if people are in need of work, if people are wanting work, or if people are looking to gift some artwork this holiday season, they can just message me on Substack. Hey, Laurie, what do you got? I've got 8 by 10 work. I've got 20 by 30 work. I have 5 foot by 5 foot work. I've got, and they can find all available work on my website because it says at the there's a gallery page that says available. So
Please make sure to give that to me when I put out the
yeah,
replay so
you
people will
got it.
know. Yeah,
Yes, ma'am.
because I love your work. You want to
Thank you,
talk to
Margaret.
us? You're welcome. You want to talk to us about that picture behind you that you painted,
Oh, sure. Did you? I don't know if people have any questions in the
or your
chat.
scrapbook?
Yeah,
I can
if
check.
people have
I can check it.
if
I'll
somebody has questions,
check.
I thought I saw one question. This piece I was working on live the last 2 Thursdays. I worked on this live yesterday, and
Right.
it was kind of a practice run through for a mural that I don't know if I'm doing now because there's some logistical issues at this physical site we were talking about putting it in. Regardless, I was working on this yesterday, and the pink to me is just too much. So now maybe I'll do a live next week. But
Let
I
Let me ask everybody else here. Let me ask them. Do you guys think it's too much pink in that picture?
let me put
We'll
some
see.
light
We'll
on.
see if any
Yeah,
people are very people are very gracious.
they can say,
They're not
Lori,
going to say nothing like
that
that.
looks like Pepto-Bismol.
Oh, Kels, Kel, okay. The Freedom Coach said that's what I need to learn to stop doing. Hold on. Ashley said, and how long would it take to learn how to paint?
Ashley wants to know how long it takes to learn how to paint.
Yes.
Well, I don't think it takes very long. I think it takes the time you want to put into it. So, I mean, I have like the Malcolm Gladwell, I've got tens of
Hmm.
thousands of hours. Do you read his book, The Tipping Point? Do you know that book?
I heard of
Um,
it.
yeah. So he talks about um how people become really good at things because they have their time invested in it, right? So I have like 20, 30, I have 20, some ridiculous amount of thousands of hours in practicing painting. But I think anybody can paint if they want to. It's not acrylic paint is something and if anybody wants to paint that is on this chat, they should follow me and ask, and I can work with them specifically on how to get started because I think it's a lot easier than you think. And I can point you in the right directions of what materials to get, uh, some kind of simple, easy steps that you can start so it doesn't seem so overwhelming, some simple color theory. So if you have people that are on here that are interested in learning how to paint, just have them message me after this and I can either help them myself or I can at least give them tips on how to get started. I don't, other than kind of buying a handful of paint and a couple surfaces, or like you were saying, a sketchbook. A sketchbook's a great thing. Like this, you can get these black bound books at Michael's, or you can order them online. They're just big books with empty pages. And these books you can use to play, and make whatever you want from
Oh,
collages.
you want to show
This
us
is
some of the pictures?
sure. So I just completed this sketchbook this last week. And now the sketchbook started a year ago, but it has I finished
Nice.
basically every page in here has something. This is like a Picasso inspired. Uh that's on my blog page. But they're just a mix of these are some like abstracts with have like poems or thoughts in them. Ash
Beautiful.
Ashley has a book, but it's empty. Ashley, you got to start putting marks in your book. Who cares how good they are? So I just kept going. I just was like every day I'd mix some Payoneer. It doesn't matter how good it is.
Beautiful.
It doesn't matter. This day I got worried because I had to go see my doctor and I had a mammogram and then they said, you need to call us. And I was like, oh crap. So this I was writing about my fear of my mammogram, which was fine. So God bless it was fine.
That's
But
beautiful.
but this is the stuff. You don't have to know how to draw. You know what you could do, Ashley? You could go through and you could do collage. You don't have to paint. You can just cut out magazine images and put them together.
That
You
is
know?
beautiful. I love the
So
scrapbook.
so you can even just make shapes. I just make shapes in here. So I mean, it's for me, and I post them all just to show people that you don't have to like do anything super complicated. I call this encapsulation, Margaret, where I just have some paint down and then
Right.
I spend time make closing up the spaces and it's almost this really kind of meditative act where I
Yeah.
just keep encapsulating spaces. If I want to say like a little prayer for each one, I can do that. Uh, and then I make blog posts out of these.
Yeah, I saw that in your notes, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Nice.
This one was from uh an online class I did with another Substacker. Her name is Vita, Veta Wade. And
Yeah.
yeah, her prompt was if you had a special power, what would it be? If you had a secret
Mm.
power. And that was her prompt. So my prompt was to be in two places at once. And I found this picture of this looks like a lake from the Alps and this place in Italy that I like to go. So this is actually a collaged image and I just drew on top of it. So, flowers. I like this one too. This is like a woman with a flower head.
Nice.
So, but yeah, this is also, and again, if anybody wants to learn how to paint or get started, just have them reach out to me and I will do my best to give them a short tour on supplies they would need without going crazy, without spending a lot of money. It's just something you practice.
Absolutely. Let me see if any other comments here. Um, Anybody have any questions for Laurie or I? Oh, she said, do you have to have the natural artist gift? You may already have that, Ashley. You never know until you try, right, Laurie?
I would say yes. I mean, people say that to me, but I'm like, "Ah, I have thousands of hours in what I do. So it started out as it was really, I loved doing it as a kid. And so I spent time doing it as a kid. Right. And it's so, I don't know, was it a gift or was it just something I always loved to do? So, I'll tell you what my gifts are not. I can't sing. Tell you that much. You don't want me singing. My next
Okay.
life.
Okay. Well, what I can tell you is when we were all children, we were all drawing. Whether we were any good or not, I don't know. But you have to start somewhere. We was all drawing. We were whatever we were drawing, it was related to what we were seeing, what we were feeling in our environment.
Yep.
So if you have that childlike behavior, we all do, just become childlike and see. Just try it and see, right?
That's all you need to do. That's all you need to do. And that's all it is what I was talking with Megan, Dr. Megan, is about play, right? So if you just approach it as play, it doesn't have to be sophisticated. It doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be whatever label you put on. If you have fun, if art materials get you excited, if you feel excitement, enthusiasm when you see a bunch of markers or pencils or collage materials, that excitement is something to pursue because, and don't worry about what the product looks like because who cares? You're making it for yourself. You're making it for yourself. So, um, don't count yourself out of something before you even, like you said with Ashley, if she hasn't maybe Ashley could start a daily practice where she spends 5 minutes in a sketchbook just doodling, just drawing with keeping her hand moving, keep her hand moving, keep her hand moving, and see what happens.
There you go. Do we have any other questions? We limit ourselves, okay? Stop overthinking, okay? Just do it. Just try it. That's it. Don't think about it.
And be
Like Nike
childlike.
said.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
childlike. That's right. You'd be surprised what you can do. Right?
Yeah. And even if somebody says to you, well, my kid could do better than that, which I had been told that. I was even told that this last month. I posted some
What?
painting and I had like a heckler online. And anyway, he wasn't saying kind from the way they were saying it was not a kind thing. It was not coming across in a kind way. And but it was either I think it was Picasso who said, if I can paint like a child, I have come to full mastery, because if you can like just allow yourself to go back to that time when you're just so pure and innocent without having all of this editing and without all having this critique on top of it, that's, I think, where you find the good stuff.
Exactly. And tell the inner critic to shut the hell up. Get back. I got this.
Oh, thank you, Margaret.
Thank you so much. Do you have any closing remarks or anything you want to say to
I
everyone
do.
listening?
Sure, sure. Okay, so this is an open invitation for my next sketchbook class, which is free, and it's from my subscribers. If you're not subscribed, it's okay. You can still participate if you just want to follow me. But next next Wednesday is October 15th from 10 to approximately 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. There's a class called Be Free Pathways that I usually co-host with Catherine Lyatt, and we give you a prompt and you make art in a sketchbook. If you don't have a sketchbook, you can just have a piece of paper. But the prompt can be anything, and you can write about it, you can collage, you can draw. So basically, that's the class I want to promote. You don't have to. It's a free class. It's just about creating in community and getting people comfortable. Um, Creating. And the other thing is, so we take 5 to 10 minutes. Here's a prompt. We say hi to everybody. There's a prompt. We might do a 5 to 10 minute meditation. It's meditation. If you want to do it, if meditation's not your thing, you don't have to do it. And then we take 30 or 40 minutes to work. So you can write, you can journal, you can collage, you can do whatever you want to do. And then after that, we kind of come back to the screen and everybody goes through, if they want. They don't have to. But I made this today, and boy, I really had some great insights about X, Y, and Z. Or, wow, I came up with this, and I had no idea I was even thinking about that today, and it came through in my artwork, or it came through in my poem, or it came through in my haiku, or whatever. So, um, Kathy Lyatt is actually out of town this next week, but I'm still hosting it. So if you want to do that, just leave a comment here, I guess, or go to my page and send me a message, or go to my page and comment, and I will send you the Zoom link so you can join. Or I can send you well, I don't like just having an open Zoom link out there for,
Yeah, I get
I
it.
don't know,
Yeah.
so, but anybody can join. But if you're a subscriber, I'll make a notification about that on Monday, which is the 13th. And so again, we gather next Wednesday, the 15th. That's my announcement. And again, if there's any artwork that people need or want, they can go to my website and they can connect with me, and maybe we'll get you some artwork.
Sounds really good. Ashley, thank you so much. We have Simone here. Um, we have Jasmine.
Awesome. You got 21 people on there. Way to go, Margaret.
Way to
Thank
go,
you all.
Laurie. Thank you so much. If
Yeah,
I miss Keith, if I miss anyone else, thank you so much for joining. Thank you so much, Laurie, for coming on at the last minute. Thank you so
you
much. I
got it.
appreciate
You
you.
got it. I'm your go-to
All right.
person.
Yes, for sure. All right. Bye,
Okay.
guys. All right.
Bye-bye.
Bye bye.